Hello my loves, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a new pick a card reading, and this one is all about what others say about you. So what are others thinking? What are they saying? What kind of vibes do others pick up on you? So in today's video, we're going to try to get as much insight as possible into who you are, how others perceive you, and a little bit about what they say. If you are new to pick a card readings, I'm going to give you a quick little rundown of how they work. So over here we have group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can take a moment, pause the video if you'd like to find the pile that you are the most drawn towards. Then once you're done choosing your pile, you can then scroll to the comment box or the description box to find the timestamp that is linked to your specific card. And then you can skip ahead and watch your personal reading all about what others say about you. We are also not going to be holding back in this video. Whatever comes up is what comes up. So we're just going to be reading it as honestly and truthfully as possible. So again, you can take a moment and you can pause the video to kind of figure out which pile you're the most drawn towards. We have some rose quartz on group 1. Then we have this pearl necklace on group 2. Then on group 3, we have this tanzanite aura quartz. And then over on group number 4, we have this piece of angel aura quartz. So again, take a moment, pause the video if you need to, and then there's timestamps linked down below so that you can skip ahead right to your particular reading. So with that being said, hopefully everything makes sense, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so group 1, if you chose this pile, then this is going to be your reading, so let's get into it. Okay, so group 1, this is what others say about you. We have the poet, the heart, and the riddle. So one of the things that I'm noticing off the bat is the fact that we have a poet and the riddle. These two are both about communication, words. So people might notice that you kind of speak in a very kind of mystical, more poetic, big picture kind of way. The way you speak might even come across hypnotic to some people. Some people might feel like what you say seems almost like it was written. You have a really nice perspective on the world. And I'm almost getting that you have like a romantic kind of heart, and you might enjoy romance, and people notice that about you. They notice that you are somebody who has a big heart, and you're also very poetic in the way that you express yourself. And people really admire that about you. But at the same time, people kind of find it a little difficult to figure you out fully, because since you have this sort of poet kind of energy and the riddle energy, both of these are similar in the fact that what you say isn't necessarily always direct. Like it might have hidden meaning, for example. So there might be like a mysterious quality about you and your approach to things and how much you reveal about yourself all up front. So even though you have this like romantic kind of energy about you, I think there's something about you that's alluring to other people. So even though you might not come across as like a head over heels romantic or anything like that, some of you may, but I'm also getting this sort of mysterious quality. So it's kind of like you're alluring to people, and you have this mysterious magnetic quality about you that really draws them in because they want to figure you out. A riddle, they want to figure you out. They want to get to the bottom of it. So I feel like you're also somebody like when you say stuff, you don't say it very directly. So you're not just gonna walk up to somebody and be like, this is exactly what I think about you in a logical way. Like you're not very logical in the way that you lay out your wording. You are a little bit more intuitive with how you speak and how you come across, and people know that about you. So one of the things that I'm gathering that people say about you is that they really like you. I think a lot of people like you very quickly, but you're hard to figure out. So they might kind of like meet you, and then they might wonder like, did they actually like me or did they not like me? I'm also feeling, okay, so here's another part about the riddle that can be kind of interesting. Some people might misunderstand you at times, and some people might go to their friends or go to other people and be like, so-and-so said this. What do you think that means? Did they mean that in a good way, in a bad way? Did they mean it this way or that way? Because you have a poetic way of speaking, and I think people sometimes might wonder like what you really meant by that. Even though I don't think that you ever have bad intentions, I feel like you're somebody who has such like a good heart, and you have such a kind of broad, mysterious kind of energy about you that's also very loving and very likable, but sometimes people have a hard time pinning what you actually think about them. Some people might have a hard time understanding what you actually might be conveying at times because it's so indirect. I don't feel like you're very direct with people, even though at times I feel like, you're very good at expressing yourself. I feel like you're extremely good at expressing your emotions, but at the same time, not in a direct way. You do it in a very intuitive way, not a very logical way. And so when people are trying to process it, they might be like, okay, so I think that like this is going on and this is exciting, all sorts of different things. So people actually really like that about you. And I think that's one of your really good qualities because it kind of keeps people on their toes around you in a good way. So for example, if you meet somebody or if you go on a date, I think that you tend to leave them on their toes because you hint at things. I think you're a really good hinter, but then people kind of need to figure it out. So for example, if somebody asks you on like the third date and they're like, so, what do you think about me? You kind of come across in a more mysterious kind of way where you're like, well, I really like you and like this is fun and like da 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 da. But the way you talk, it almost alludes to the fact that there's more underneath. There's more that you could express, but I feel like for you, you express things more in a poetic way and you express more emotion than you express through actual physical words. And so it's kind of like people have to put two and two together to kind of really figure out what you're saying. But this is actually kind of like a fun thing because again, it kind of keeps people on their toes and it's more fun rather than kind of like, imagine being super logical all the time and you're like, yeah, I like you and I liked the fact that you said this and this was good. It's very unemotional. So I feel like you bring a lot of emotion to the table when you're speaking to people and it has this nice mysterious quality that people really like. I also am gathering that some people get threatened by you because you can kind of come across flirtatious even when you don't mean to be. And so this might be something that you may have heard from other people or not. But the fact that we have the heart and the poet and the riddle, sometimes the way that you talk can come across very flirty. And, for example, if you're meeting like a new couple, for example, like the girl might all of a sudden get insecure because she's like, I think she's like flirting with my man, even though you're like, no, I'm absolutely not. But there's just this like, I don't know, flirtatious, romantic energy about you, group one, that sometimes your way of speaking sometimes can be misconstrued as flirting even when you're not. Just because you have this, I'm getting this like more bubbly, fun personality that can come out when you're having a lot of fun. And it can come across, again, kind of flirty because you have like a lot of emotions. And I'm gathering that most of you who chose this pile are more intuitive. And that's why you have kind of this mysterious quality that people kind of need to like figure out. So a lot of people might find you hard to kind of pinpoint and they might find you kind of mysterious. So that's kind of the main points of what people say about you. So let's go ahead and get some more information on this. So group one, what else are people saying? So we have Capricorn, we have the planet of Mars. Okay, so Mars in Capricorn in the 6th house. So this is kind of very action oriented and going for what you want. So people might also see you as somebody who, looks at what they want to do, looks at what they want to attain and really goes for it and knows how to take action on it. People are also seeing that you have like a lot of energy. I'm getting that you have a lot of energy and you have like solid goals that you desire to reach. And when you want something, you really go for it. People really admire that about you. You also have a healing energy about you because the 6th house also deals with health and healing. So I'm gathering that you also have a very comforting, healing energy. You know how to take action to being of service for people. So your friends actually really enjoy you because they notice the amount of effort that you put in for them. So whenever they need something, if something's going on in their life, it's kind of like you're really good at taking action and being of service to others when you know, you're close with them. So for example, your close friends, when they need you, it's like you're there, and you're really reliable in that sense. So with that being said, let's get into some of your tarot cards that I pulled earlier. And let's see, we have the Queen of Swords. Okay, so that's kind of like that poetic way of talking. The Queen of Swords is more logical though. So at times, I think there's times where you can kind of like close yourself off to certain people, or kind of really think things through before opening up that deep heart. So this can be when people start to kind of get to know you, or when you really want to open up those emotions. But there are also times where I think that you can get hyper focused on certain things and be very like direct in certain ways. So some people might also see you as somebody who's extremely direct, while others feel like you're more of a riddle. I feel like this is kind of like when you like someone, it's like this romantic, flirty, riddle, mysterious kind of quality. But there's also this interesting logical side of you. Some of you might be Geminis or like Libras, because I'm gathering this sort of like logical but also flirty side of you. It's interesting. It's very interesting. What others say about you, I think that you're also, okay, another part of this card can also talk about social media. So this can also say that a lot of people are talking about you online, and a lot of people might have a lot to say about you online. So people might talk about certain things that you either maybe post or things that you're doing. They might comment on it. They might be like, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So it's another aspect of the Queen of Swords. So even if you're not, you know, super logical or anything like that, I also think you do have a way with words though. Like, you know how to articulate yourself. You know exactly what you're doing. So yeah, another thing that I'm kind of seeing here when it comes to your way of speaking and choosing words, you're very smart about it. Like, you know that you're being more mysterious when you want to be. You know how to be mysterious. You know how to get that point across to kind of keep people wondering and to kind of allude to things. I'm gathering that you're very much an alluder. You like to allude to what you're truly thinking, but you like to make it a little bit more of a mystery for people to kind of like pick up on, you know, these hints. You like to drop hints. So you know how to articulate yourself in a very particular way. And it's a really attractive quality is what I'm kind of seeing in here. A lot of people find it very fun to be around you because of that. But I don't think you do it in like a manipulative way. I'm not seeing that at all. I'm seeing this in a very like fun, flirty, mysterious, kind of like playful way that ends up being very likable, because it's not like, again, you're not coming across cold and you're like, oh, well, I think this and this and this and this and this. It's more of like this fun, like articulate, it's like a poetry. Like the way that you come across to people is like poetry, group one. Like, it's very fun. It's like an art. It's almost like an art. We also have the Nine of Pentacles. A lot of people also see you as somebody who's very independent. I'm also going to put this card down here so we can actually see both of those. But people also see you as somebody who's very independent, who doesn't need like the support or approval of other people. And even if you feel like you do, you kind of come across very confident to others. And other people see you as somebody who's confident and somebody who does not care what other people think. So whether that resonates or not, that is what people are saying about you, is the fact that they see you as somebody who does not like need approval of others. We also have Ace of Pentacles being reversed. People might also talk about, okay, one thing I'm getting from the Ace of Pentacles being reversed is not being the most reliable. So let me know if that resonates with you guys. But one of the things about Ace of Pentacles being reversed is not being the most reliable. So some people might get kind of annoyed if you like cancel plans or go back on things. You might be somebody who says yes to something and then you're kind of like, ugh, and then you back out of it. So the Ace of Pentacles reversed would be people talking about your maybe unreliability. So that might be something that people talk about. I don't see it being like a huge thing that people talk about. The aces talk about kind of the beginning energy. They're not talking about like a very intense, deep-rooted issue. This is not like a deep-rooted thing. This is kind of more of one of those innocent, sort of just beginner kind of things. But if you don't want this to, you know, proceed any further, maybe just work on being more reliable and kind of like sticking to your word. So if you're going to say yes to something, say yes to something. You do have sort of like, again, that sort of riddle personality and way of talking. So some people might assume that you mean yes on something when you are kind of also, you know, having your way with words. You kind of really know how to articulate yourself in a way where maybe it's not fully committal, right? So you might be 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, but that kind of leaves people sort of hanging a little bit, and they might get a little bit annoyed with that because they're like, well, either say yes or say no so that I know if I should make other plans or not, so that I don't ruin my entire day or my week or like whatever else is going on. So that could be one thing that also people say is kind of maybe slight unreliability there. But we do also have the 10 of Pentacles, and that's such a great card. So at the same time, it's more forgivable because I also think that you're very committed when it comes to the really important stuff. And people do notice that about you. Like when it comes to the really important stuff, you are there, you show up. But then when it comes to like maybe like smaller stuff, it can kind of go here or there. So people, they can, yeah. Anyway, we don't need to stir that pot more than it needs to be. But the 10 of Pentacles is something that is very positive, and people see you as somebody who's really there for them, somebody who really appreciates family. Also, your close friends notice how close you are with them and the fact that you're very much there. And so the close people in your life really appreciate that about you, and they have a lot of good things to say about you. The 10 of Pentacles is such a great card. So for generations, you have generations of people talking about you. You have older people that say great things about you. You have middle-aged people that say great things about you. You have adults that say good things about you. You have younger people that say good things about you. You have kids that say good things about you. I think that you really know a good amount of people in your life, or at least you have a very solid group of people, and there's a lot of good things being said about you. I don't see a lot of bad things other than maybe lack of commitment here and there. But at the same time, you know, you might also have people that are kind of jealous of your independence. But at the same time, I think for the most part, people are saying really good things about you. With that 10 of Pentacles, it's such a good card. We also have the Magician being reversed. So the Magician being reversed can be a card that talks about sort of like using your tactics in a way of manipulation. I'm not seeing it being like full on in this group. I really see you guys being somebody with a good heart. People that you've had a falling out with, though, I'm just going to be fully honest, people that you've had a falling out with might look back on you and see you as somebody who's strategic and tactical and things like that. They might just see you as strategic and tactical, and that's how they like to see you now. Or they might kind of make up reasons why you've manifested the things that you've manifested because that makes them feel better. But again, I don't see this as being a huge thing. I don't want you to walk away from this reading being like, oh my God, people are saying negative things about me. I don't feel like it's something that's regularly talked about at all. I feel like people who have lost you in their life feel like they've lost something that was very powerful in their life, for one, because the Magician is such a powerful, amazing card, all about manifestation, all about being a wise teacher. So the people that maybe you've had falling out with see you as somebody who has taught them a lot in their life, but they may also just kind of like not be over the fact of losing you in their life. And yeah, that is basically what we have for our tarot cards here. But I want to reiterate the 10 of Pentacles sort of energy, and I want to reiterate that this one, I feel like this is very not a problem. I feel like these two are very minor compared to all the amazing things that are going on in this group. And as I said, I was going to be fully honest, and the Magician being reversed is kind of a card that's more like People might see you as more strategic or tactical, not necessarily manipulative. Manipulative is that card to the extreme, right? So if you haven't had any extreme kind of craziness in your life, like don't even worry about this, because this is more people just seeing you as like strategic and going for what you want without maybe, like people might see you as somebody who's selfish if you've had a falling out with them, but not in like a crazy, crazy way. It's just kind of like, you know, those kind of like weird thoughts we get about others until we like really reflect about it. And then we're like, never mind. You know, everyone has their own kind of things going on. So anyway, I don't want to loom on that card. But yeah, that is that card. I don't see it again being extreme. So I don't want you guys to take it as like something crazy extreme or anything like that. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get some more cards on this reading. So group 1, let's see what else others say about my group 1s. We have Venus and Jupiter. Those are my 2 favorite planets, I'll be honest. So I'm already really liking you guys, group 1. Can we be best friends? Because I love Venus and Jupiter energy. So people also see you as somebody who's very successful, who wants to grow, who wants to expand, and they also see you as somebody who's very loving. Both of these planets together also, again, have that flirtatious energy about them. So just as we can see on these cards, this one says grow and expand, which is exactly Jupiter. This card also deals with travel. So if you're somebody who likes to travel, people might talk about that a lot about you, and they might want to know more about kind of your travels or your experiences. The expansion energy of Jupiter can also talk about philosophy and ideas. So people also, I think, learn from you and enjoy talking about what they've learned from you. They might be like, oh, guess what so-and-so told me? Like, this was so interesting. This was so fun to learn. So you really grow and expand people in a lot of ways as well. And Venus is such a positive, loving card. And so I think the people that really know you, and most of the people that meet you in your life, so like 90% of the people that meet you, I feel like feel this nice Venusian energy from you that's very expansive. And the fact that you like to give love to anybody, I feel like you're somebody who does not hold love from anybody. You're very loving. And I feel like you also see love within almost anything. So another thing about Venus and Jupiter is Jupiter is about expanding to anyone and everyone. Jupiter does not have limitations on anything. So I think you're somebody who doesn't have limitations on the way that you love or who you love. And I don't mean that necessarily in a romantic way, but I just mean in general. Like if you see a person on the street, I feel like you're somebody who's very empathic and you feel for them and you're like, oh my God, like that person is so cute and da 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 da, rather than being somebody who is judgmental and is like, look at that person, like I cannot believe what they're wearing, that is so like I don't think you're one of those people. The Venus Jupiter people, so when Venus and Jupiter are conjunct or anything like that, or like when we have the energy of Venus and Jupiter coming up in a reading, this would say that you are very accepting of people and you love to spread love. You love to make people's day. You love to make people smile. You love to see people happy. And people notice that about you and they say that about you. So this could be one of the things that, you know, all of these people are all talking about all the time. They're just like, you know, this person has such a big heart. They're really accepting over anyone and everyone. They're so good at, you know, maybe forgiving or just kind of seeing the beauty in everyone. So people really notice that about you, group 1. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get some last few cards on this reading. So group 1, what is the last few energies that Spirit wants to reveal for group 1 about what others say about them? Okay, let's see. We have Gaia. So you're very mothering energy. I almost dropped that card. So glad I didn't. You have a very mothering energy about you, group 1. People see you as very nurturing, and they see you as somebody who's very open to growth and development. We also have the card of solution. So you're also a very good problem solver. People might come to you for their problems in order to maybe gain closure on what they're going through, especially if they're going through something where maybe they have a hard time getting closure themselves, or they're having a hard time letting go of stuff. I feel like a lot of people enjoy coming to you for advice. People like to open up to you. That's why with the flower, it's opening up, and it's the full moon, which is that closure energy, and air talks about communication. So people come to you and they like to communicate about their problems. So another thing people say about you is just like, wow, this person like is so helpful. I love them so much. They are so wise. They offer so much advice, and you're very nurturing. So people feel comfortable opening up to you in order to, you know, gain closure about things, in order to find solutions. They really like your advice. They feel safe and secure around you. And they also feel that nice mothering energy. So let's see what else we get here. We also have the Guru card. So people might also see you as someone who is, again, very wise. That reiterates that wise energy that we were just talking about as well. We also have passion. I feel like people also get a lot of motivation from you. You're somebody who brings a lot of passion to the table, and others really notice that. So when they need like a good pick-me-up or a good boost, I feel like a lot of people enjoy coming to you because they're able to get a really good boost of confidence from you, of energy. And when it comes to them like following their dreams or their passions, they also really enjoy coming to you because I feel like you're really good at planting the seed for people. So when people have a dream that they want to attain, they really like coming to you because you're somebody who I think is very good at motivating, and somebody who's really good at giving love and giving encouragement to people as well. So it's another thing that people say about you and notice about you, group 1. So with that being said, we're gonna roll our astro dice one last time just to get any last info for you. So we have the moon in Aquarius in the 12th house. Ooh, you might have some secret admirers, either on like social media. I also think that you have both male and female secret admirers, group 1, that really enjoy kind of like searching you up on social media. The 12th house is the house of like secrets and kind of being like, hush, hush, like I'm keeping this to myself. And Aquarius is being on social media and kind of, it talks about friends, or it talks about hearing things from other people. And the moon can talk about our emotions, or maybe something that we're like feeling. So I'm also seeing that other people might kind of like, like stalk you on social media, or kind of, they're curious about you. They're curious about your life. I think you're a very interesting person for a lot of people. And they enjoy kind of like seeing what you're up to, what you're doing, hearing about you. And I'm seeing all this as like good energy right here, like good energy, but people might not want to actually say it. I also think you have people that want to talk to you, that want to open up emotionally to you and express their feelings, but they're kind of scared too. So I'm definitely getting some secret admirer energy where there's people talking about you and you have no idea. There's people that are probably like, oh, I really want to like slide into her DMs or his DMs, but like I'm too nervous. I'm also getting goosebumps right now, which means confirmation. So there's people that talk about you, that have secret crushes or admiration for you, that are really curious about you. It might not necessarily be like a crush, but you know, I feel like crushes and also just like secret admiration. So that is what we have there. Hope you all enjoyed this reading, group number 1. That is what we had for you. Some nice, cute, romantic energy. Very poetic. I really like your energy, group 1. This was fun. So hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I'd love to have you there. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye. Okay, so group number 2, if you chose this pile, then this is going to be a reading, so let's get right into it. Okay, group 2, I'm getting a really strong, powerful energy from your group. We have the mentor, the shaman, and the mountain. You are somebody who has a very like conquering energy. If you set your eyes on something, it is like, that is where I'm going, that is what I'm doing. The shaman is also a very healing card as well. So what other people say about you is that you are For one, extremely wise. You also might be somebody who's a bookworm. You might enjoy reading. You might enjoy discovering things, because the owls represent wisdom. They represent an old soul as well. So people might also see you as someone who is an old soul, who has this more like teacher, guide sort of energy. So you're a leader. You're a natural born like kind of leader, group number 2. And even if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know why I'm a leader, like that doesn't even make any sense. Because some of you might also be introverts is what I'm kind of gathering here. Some of you may also be introverts. Some of you may not be, but there's a very particular energy where you're like a guide and like a mentor with a very like powerful energy. And you're very determined as well, which is why you end up being such a mentor. But even if you are introverted, like you're still this leader who is this like guide, because I think you're very determined. You have a very determined energy about you. So even if you're not super extroverted and you're not like, hey everyone, follow me, I'm the greatest. I'm not gathering that energy from you. I'm gathering this sort of like internal, like I'm gonna do it on my own. You almost have this energy where you don't mind like being alone. You don't mind conquering big things on your own. And people find you a valuable teacher because of that, because you're such a deep leader. You might also be somebody who's very observant as well. The owls are very observant. They're also somebody who's nocturnal and somebody who like usually stays awake at night. And these two cards are very like dark, spacey. They're both kind of like in space there. So some of you may also be night owls. And if not, this is kind of talking about the energy of almost being very spacey at times, because you're a very big dreamer. So you might, like when somebody's having a conversation with you, you might space out. But it's because when people talk to you, it's like it opens up a whole universe of many different pathways for you. It opens up your mind so big. So if somebody brings up something to you like, ooh, this just happened to me today where I run into this person and this happened, and then we were talking about these sorts of things, all of a sudden your mind goes in all these areas of like, ooh, the psychology of that, and ooh, this, and like, oh, that, and when I experienced that, this happened, and da 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 da. Like your mind just goes off into like a million places, and it goes into this vast universe. And so some people, what they notice about you is that you might be spacey at times. And they might talk about that. They might mention that. They might be like, have you ever noticed that so-and-so is like kind of spacey sometimes? And they like, it feels like they're not even paying attention. It's like, no, you actually paid attention so deeply that it took you on like a tangent of going into such a deep area to where it's kind of like you trail off and you might kind of not be listening to what they're saying anymore. But it's because you listened so intently, and it created this whole like mind universe for you to like expand on. And so one of the things again that people say about you is like, again, that spaciness. But it's because you're so smart and your mind is almost on overdrive sometimes. And you're such a conqueror. Like I feel like you're somebody who when you have a vision, when you are determined for something, you're like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna climb that mountain. The mountain also is somebody who is usually very reliable as well, but I think that the mountain is usually somebody where their reliability comes with age, and they learn reliability as they get older. So depending on what age you are when you're watching this, your reliability is still growing and growing and growing, but as you get older, you're gonna be somebody who's very reliable, and a huge thing that people are gonna say about you is like, wow, like if you ever need somebody, this is who to call, because they will have the wisdom and the know-how of whatever you're doing, and they'll also be committed to whatever they say yes to. They're very reliable. But I am seeing like somebody who's so wise beyond their years. I see you as like an old soul. You may have also been like a healer or a shaman in a past life, or even in this life, and you might really enjoy helping people because it's something that I think you're naturally very good at. Again, because of the fact that your mind wanders to so many places, and because you're such a deep thinker like that, that is why you're so smart. Because whenever you're learning something, you don't just learn whatever the textbook says. Because your mind is so expansive, you're like, ooh, let me connect the dots to all these other things that I know, and let me do this and let me do that, which makes you learn things probably a lot faster than most people. But I also think you have a very unique learning style. So some of you may have also not been that good at school or in school, but it's because you have a very unique learning style. And it's because you, again, might not be able to pay attention for like prolonged periods, because you're somebody who your mind goes to the next point very fast, but it goes to the next point because you're making all these big connections, because you're so curious and because you know so much. So that's actually one of your gifts. So you are actually incredibly smart, but some of you may not have been that great at school because the learning style did not fit the way that you absorb information and the way that you learn. But I feel like when you're curious about something on your own, group number 2, when you particularly are curious about something, you know how your mind works. Therefore, you know how to teach yourself and you know how to learn. You are a natural, like, self-taught kind of person. And I think you're going to find your most success. Sorry, I'm kind of like trailing off the topic, but I think you're going to find your most success when you're self-taught at something, because that's where you're going to notice that you learn the most. You're incredibly wise and you can conquer any mountain. But that's why I also was feeling that energy in the beginning of kind of like this, I can do it on my own. And the reason why you are that way is because you're also very different from most people, especially with the way that you absorb and learn information. This is a natural, amazing gift for you. It is a huge gift. So that is another thing that people notice about you, is that you're kind of unique. And some people might be like, are they even understanding me right now? But it's because you're like so wise and your mind just, again, works in a kind of different way than most people. I also think you're going to conquer big things in your lifetime, and people are going to really admire that. And people are going to be like, how did you get from point A to point B? How did you do that? You might have a lot of people that come to you wondering how you learned something or how you did something. So for example, if you like photography, I don't think you're somebody who's like going to learn a lot through school. You're somebody who's going to learn the most about whatever hobby or interest that you have on your own. And people might be like, how did you get so good at that? How did you do that? And you're going to be like, I literally just taught myself. Like, I feel like that's a response that you have very often. And people talk about that a lot. They're like, can you believe that this person, like, they said that they're self-taught in that, or they said that they learned their most, like, by teaching themselves. How did he do that? Or how did she do that? Like, what? How? You know? So people, that is a huge thing that people say about you. Like, that is one of the biggest things. They're gonna be like, how did you do that? And you might get a lot of questions. You might notice that you get a lot of questions from people being like, can you teach me? Like, or can you tell me how you did that so I can do it too? And you're just like, well, I just literally taught myself. Like, just Google things, learn from it, go out and practice. And you're like, does this not seem obvious? Like, how do people not find their ways to do these things? And it might kind of like blow your mind that other people don't know how to do those things that come so obvious to you. But I think it's also because you have this super unique energy. You also have a very healing energy, but that's why you're a mentor. People come to you for your wisdom. People come to you for your advice. People come to you because they're wondering, how did you do it? How do I be like you? How do I get to that height? And you're up there being like, is this not obvious? Like, so yeah, you're very much one of those people. People really admire that about you. So yeah, that is a huge part right there. We're also going to roll these astro dice to get some more information before going into our tarot cards. So let's see. Group 2, we have Jupiter, so the planet of expansion, in Aquarius. Wow, you really think outside of the box and you learn outside of the box. In the first house, okay, you're a unique soul. People talk about how unique you are all the time. One of the main focuses of topic when people are talking about you and you know what they say about you is how unique you are and how unique your mind is. They also might talk about like, is that person kind of like weird? But take this in a good way, okay? Group number 2, take this in a good way. Because this is a really good thing about you, is like you have this true, unique kind of energy about you that really makes you stand out. I don't think you fit into a lot of places. or with a lot of groups. And you might notice that is like, I don't feel like I really fit in with that. You don't fit in with regular cliques. You fit in with people that can understand you and are on your level of kind of the way that your mind and brain functions. So you kind of get along with people that are similar to that. So you're very unique in that way. So that is another thing that people notice about you and say about you. So let's get into our tarot cards here. So we have the Six of Pentacles being reversed. So let's just move these over here for now. The Six of Pentacles being reversed, people might feel like you kind of keep to yourself at times, and people might feel like you're not giving them the wisdom that they need, or you're not answering their questions. So that's kind of one of the more sort of, I guess, negative things that people might say about you, is the fact that you might really respect your own time, especially when it comes to the things that you're interested in. And so you might not get along again with like everyone or like the biggest crowds, because you have this really like unique energy. But it's also a very good thing as well, because the people that you do really get along with, you really get along with them. But not everyone is really like on your level. And I feel like group 2, I feel like you're picky with your friends, or at least you will be as you kind of get older. There's like a pickiness that I get with this card, like being picky with your friends. We also have the World card being reversed. So I'm getting spaciness again from this card, and I'm also hearing the words, okay, this is another one of those kind of slightly negative things, but I don't think this happens very often, just to reiterate. But I said I wasn't going to hold back in this reading. So one of the things that I'm hearing in this card is know-it-all. So one thing that people might say about you, and I don't think that these are your friends that are saying this about you. I think that this might just be people like maybe that we went to school with, or you know, like other people in our lives, people that we might randomly meet at a party and never talk to again. Like, I don't know, some people like that, they might have this energy of calling you like a know-it-all at times. So that could just be, you know, their own projection of you or things like that. But that is what I'm hearing in the World card there. The next card is the Nine of Cups. This is a very positive card. One of my favorites in the deck. It talks about getting a wish. So another thing that people say about you is that things come easy for you. Whenever you want something, you know how to attain it. And that might be something that other people notice, because you might have attained certain things that other people really want or desire to attain in their life. And so another thing that people might say about you is like, wow, they always get like whatever they want. They get whatever they put their mind to. So it's a really positive thing in the Nine of Cups. It's a very positive card. It's about getting whatever you wish for. Some people might think it comes through luck for you. Some people might be like, oh, they're really lucky because they figured it out. Or, you know, for example, the photography example that we had earlier. So if you like self-taught yourself and it took a lot of work, but other people didn't see the amount of like work that it took or anything like that, people might be like, oh, they got lucky. They were lucky. They were born with that talent. And you're like, I actually worked for it, but I just knew how to commit myself to learning, commit myself to climbing that mountain, commit myself to my goal. Like when you have a goal, group number 2, you're really good at being like, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get to the top and I'm going to be the best. You have this energy of like, I'm going to become the best at something that whatever I put myself to, whatever I focus on, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. But other people don't see you climbing that mountain. They just see you up at the top once you're at the top, and they might be like, they were lucky. They started close to the top anyway. And you're like, no, I started from the bottom just like everybody else. So yeah, that's another thing that people might say about you. We also have the Fool card. So people might also not understand how you've learned so much in your life. Some people don't understand it. You also have this like free energy about you. The Fool card is this freedom energy of like, ooh, let's go out and explore. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'm also getting hiking through mountain and the Fool for some reason. Some of you might be into actually physically hiking or traveling or discovering things, going on journeys, beginning journeys. So some of you may be into that kind of stuff. Some of you may be into rock climbing, conquering big tasks, or being outdoors. So yeah, some of you might be like really into like nature and the outdoors, and that might be another thing that people talk about you. They're like, wow, like that's really inspiring that this person loves to be outside so much, and like they don't mind this and they don't mind that. I feel like you're somebody who you're curious enough to want to explore. You're not trying to close yourself off from like things. You're curious, and people really admire that about you. They like that about you. They wish that they were more like that. So that is another thing that we have in our tarot cards. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take this deck of cards. Let's see what else we get here. So, group 2. What else do other people say about my lovely group 2s? We have the Moon card. Let's put this one right here. We have the Moon card coming through. Let's get another one. What else do people say about my group 2s? We also have Chiron. Ooh, Chiron is the wounded warrior. So it's very much that warrior energy that we were kind of picking up on earlier about like wanting to conquer things, complete big ideas, tasks, putting your mind to something. So you are someone who does not let your wounds hold them back. And that's a big thing that people enjoy talking about, people that know what you've been through. Some people also think that you're a know-it-all and everything came easy to you, but I think those are the people that don't know your story. Then there's also the people that do know your story, that have been with you through the bottom to the top. And that is where we get this Chiron energy, because there's also, again, another group of people, the ones that really know you, that are like, wow, this person has been through so much. Even when they got torn down, they climbed to the top. They made it to the top. And so you might also have people that really stand up for you. So for example, if you have like 2 people that are hanging out, one of them just met you the other day, and one of them has known you for the last 10 years. They might have a conversation that goes somewhat like, for example, if you come up in conversation, the person that just met you might be like, yeah, that person seems like they're really lucky, they didn't even go to school to learn the blah, 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 and they know so much about it, like such a know-it-all, and things have just come easy for that person. They must have they must have started out real easy. And then the person that knows you is like, oh my God, no, wow. They've like really built themselves into who they are. They've been through this in their life. They took their wounds and used it to their advantage. Like they got torn down and they came out on top. Instead of letting it destroy them and weigh them down, they conquered it. You're a conqueror, group 2. And the people that know you see that. Chiron is about getting wounded and then that wound turning into your absolute strength. We all have wounds in our lifetime, all of us do, but you're somebody who takes that and you don't let it weigh on you. You're not somebody who lets it destroy you or become a weakness. You take your weaknesses and you make them into strengths. You're very good at doing that, group number 2, and the people that know you very much see that within you. The Moon card is about our emotions and exploring the unknown. It's also about nurturing ourselves, and it's also about empathic abilities. So some of you may be very empathic and in tune with your emotions, and that's probably why we have the shaman here. You might also be a natural healer for other people. You might be able to sense things in other people to where you know what they need from you, you know how to please them, you know how to show up and nurture them. So there's also a very nurturing energy about you that people notice. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get any last cards on this reading for you, group 2. So what else do people say about my beautiful group 2s? We have Kali. So there's a very conquering kind of energy again. Also, we have some Sagittarius energy, which is all about expansion. But yeah, this is very much like a conquering type of energy. It's very much like a masculine, or I guess not really like masculine, because Kali is like feminine. But, sorry, excuse me. But Kali is like the goddess who has kind of like a more masculine energy about her, because she very much stands up for herself and lays things where they belong. So she has that very like powerful energy about you. So people also say that you have a very kind of intense energy, and it's very transformative. You might transform those you meet and those you come into contact with. So let's see, any last info for my lovely group twos? Any last info for my group twos? We also have concession coming up. So yeah, other people, again, this kind of deals with attaining things. So planting seeds and them growing. So people might also be talking about like, how did they do that? How did they attain that? How did they grow that way? Or was it given to them? So people, you might have people saying those types of things about you. And then our last card, it fell on the floor. We're gonna pick that up and see what it was. Okay, it was the card of passion. So people might also talk about how passionate you are at the things that you love to do. And that also might be something that's super inspiring for others. So other people might be like, wow, like that's so inspiring how passionate they are, how into it they are. So they might be talking about your talents or the things that you're interested in. And they're like, wow, what a seed of like inspiration. This person is so passionate about what they do. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll these astro dice one last time to get any last info on this reading. That one really wants to roll out. So we have Leo, Saturn in Leo in the 4th house. There's like a nice confidence about you, but it's also like humble, if that makes sense, with Saturn. It's like a humble confidence. You're really good at rooting yourself where you want to go and bringing nice passion wherever you are. But you're somebody who has like a very solid kind of like foundation. And as you get older, you're gonna really start to know who you are. So even if you don't right now, one thing I'm seeing in the astro dice is that you're really going to know who you are. It's gonna solidify more with age, especially around your first Saturn return or even your second Saturn return. So your first Saturn return happens at 28 and a half years old. It starts happening a little bit sooner than that though. So kind of around the age of 27 is when that energy starts building momentum. But it happens at 28 and a half years old, and then it also happens at 57. So if you're around those ages, that's kind of when you're solidifying into more of who you are. And that's going to kind of be something that people enjoy saying about you is like, wow, that person's so sure of themselves. Like anytime they go and do something, they have this really strong belief in themselves. And it's really encouraging for other people to see. I think what you do and the way that you hold yourself is also very encouraging for others. And they really admire that about you. And that's something that they enjoy talking about. So that is what we have here for you, my beautiful group twos. Hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I would love to have you there. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye. Okay, so group 3, if you chose this pile, this is going to be a reading. So let's get into it. What an intense group. Can I just say right off the bat? We also have a lot of colorful energy going on in this group. We have a lot of rainbow kind of energy here. And some nice earthy energy going on. So one thing that people say about you and notice about you is the fact that you are a very fun person. Like group 3, who are you guys? I want to know you guys. There's like this innocence about you that's always like fun, and you don't take life too seriously. So one thing that people say about you and notice about you is the fact that you don't take life too seriously. You haven't succumbed to like all of the crazy like life problems. You don't like, yeah, you're kind of just like this eternal child who still has their childhood innocence, and people really appreciate you. Like I feel like people really want to like care for you and not like step on your toes. I feel like you have this sort of energy where people are like, you're precious. I just want to like, I don't know, take care of you. But you also, again, besides like you being also like really precious, people also notice how powerful and strong you are. So you have this like really cool balance of energy where you don't take life too seriously. You're a very precious kind of person that people are like, I want to just keep you sacred and keep you like, you know, good. But at the same time, you're also somebody that people notice like you're really good at taking care of yourself. You're really good at being this very strong person, a very warrior who's determined. Warriors are determined. They know what they want. They go for it. And even if you're somebody who doesn't know what they want, I find you have this really curious energy. It's full spectrum energy. That's why we have the rainbow. It's very full spectrum. You're curious in a lot of areas, in a lot of things. You're probably somebody who says yes to a lot of things. You're like, oh yeah, I'm down to try that out. Like, that sounds fun. And as you kind of do that, you get to kind of know who you are more and more. People also really notice about you the fact that you're very, there's like a balanced energy about you with this Temple card. You might have like a really strong value system, or you might just have this like really nice kindness and respect for others. And people really notice that. This Temple card is telling me that you really respect other people and you're here to show kindness. Like, you're not somebody who's gonna approach somebody and just be like mean up front. You have this like nice kindness and like welcoming energy. And I don't think that you put like too many borders on like who it is that you allow into your life. Like, you're just very accepting. You're down to meet people. You're just open arms. When it comes to like other people, you would just have this like really caring, open heart kind of energy. The Starborn card is very powerful, especially the fact that it came up with the Eternal Child card, because these talk about that you are a big dreamer. You think about things outside of the box. Being Starborn is also being somebody who's very special. So people see you as somebody who's very special. The people that have you in their life are like, wow, this person is very special to me. I so much appreciate this person. You just have an energy that people really like to be around. But at the same time, you also have this powerful energy. It's this, again, it's this really cool balance that you have, group 3, where you're this fun, eternal child kind of energy. Like, let's not take life too seriously. Let's go have fun. Let's go do this. Like, you have that kind of energy that comes out. But at the same time, you also have an energy of like, let's go, let's get it done. You might also be somebody who lives a more active lifestyle. And if not, you have like a very, at least, determined energy when it comes to your goals or the things that you want to attain or reach. And that's something that people notice about you. They're like, wow, this person's like really determined. They have this warrior type of energy, but again, also very fun. Starborn is, again, this sort of card where it's like you're a blessing. Like, people are like, wow, this person's like a real blessing that came into my life. I don't think a lot of people say bad things about you, group 3. I honestly think people feel like you're such a good person, because I think you just really respect people. There might be times that you come across like childish, but I feel like you really only let out that childish, like, fun side when it comes to like the appropriate moments and when it comes to like those friends that you can kind of be that way around. And other than that, it's kind of like this very more determined kind of energy, but it's also very respectful and nice, but also like a big dreamer. So you also might have like big goals in your life, a group 3, or you just are this like really special person where if people have you in their life, again, they kind of are like wowed by how kind of special you are and the big impact that you sort of make on them. I think that you also are very motivational when it comes to the people that are in your life, and that could also be the warrior card, because you might be somebody who really helps motivate people. If somebody has like a big dream, you might be somebody who's like, go for it. Like, what's holding you back? Like, do it. You might be that warrior energy where you kind of really empower people. So yeah, and you really know how to make life fun. Group 3, I'm hearing like you know how to make life fun. You enjoy making life enjoyable. And people really notice that about you. There's not a dull moment. I'm hearing people saying very often that there's not a dull moment with you. I'm hearing laughter. I'm hearing people talk about your laugh a lot and your smile. People mention your smile and your laugh a lot. You also might be somebody that's like kind of funny, and like you have like a funny humor when it comes to like standing up for other people. Like, you might have like a jokingly humor, like, oh, if that person ever crosses you, like, they better watch out. Like, you might have that joking humor that comes out sometimes. And people find you very like reliable as well when it comes to the people that are really close in your life. They find you really reliable. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into some of our other cards here. We have the Five of Pentacles being reversed. I think you're an includer. So when this card comes up, I feel like you're somebody who enjoys including other people. You don't like it when people are sort of like left out or unincluded. I feel like you're somebody who's like, no, if that person is like going and sitting out there and like not having a good time, you're like, oh no, come with us, come with us. Like, you can come too, like, come join us. You're somebody who's very much an includer. You don't like people feeling left out of things. You enjoy kind of bringing the togetherness. Like, you don't mind, sort of bringing other people along in order to make them feel included. So that's one positive aspect of that. We also have the Ten of Cups. This is a very, very positive card, group 3. My goodness. The Ten of Cups is about like sharing good times, and you're just like a bright light. The Ten of Cups is also a card that's associated with a rainbow. So if you look at the Ten of Cups in the regular depiction, it has a rainbow. So again, we're having those rainbows again. You are somebody who brightens up people's days. Rainbows come after it rains. So whenever it rains on somebody's day or somebody's life, especially if there's somebody that you care about, you're very good at being optimistic. So people notice how optimistic you are. People notice how encouraging you are and how you just make them laugh. So even if you might not be necessarily optimistic, like you might be watching this being like, oh, I'm kind of like, I don't know, not so optimistic. Some of you might be also agreeing with me here, but even if you're not optimistic, you're really good at making people laugh about whatever they're going through at the very least. You're really good at kind of bringing a sense of humor to things and kind of bringing the sunshine to a rainy day. So even if you don't notice that you're that way, even if you don't feel like you're that way, other people feel like you're that way. You really bring the sunshine to a rainy day. You know how to do that, and you know how to change around people's sort of mood. You're a huge mood changer because you bring the fun back into things, the humor and the fun and the excitement and that kind of childlike energy where it's like, everything's fine. Like, don't take it so seriously. It is fine. We're going to be good. So if like your friend loses their job and they come home and they're like absolutely distraught, you're someone who's like, it's totally fine. You didn't need that job anyway. That job sucked. And then they start laughing, and then you're just like, well, what a blessing this is. Like, look at you have all this free time. Like, you're really good at just changing people's moods. You're really good at that kind of stuff. So the next card, we have the Eight of Swords. So one thing that I'm seeing in the Eight of Swords, some people might see you as closed off or like not expressive of your own personal life very much. So you might be somebody who is very much there for your friends, very much there for the other people in your life. But then when it comes to like expressing your own problems and your own stuff, I feel like you're somebody who deals with that on your own and you're not very expressive of that. So one thing that people say about you is like, oh wow, they helped me so much. But at the same time, like, what are they going through? Like, I don't really know what they're ever going through. What if they need my help? They always seem to be going, everything's like fine on their own. Everything's always like fine. So there could be this closed off energy that people also notice about you when it comes to like your own openness and kind of opening up about yourself and your own personal issues, thoughts, or problems. You seem like somebody who's like the warrior who's like, I'm going to deal with that on my own. And the Temple is also very internal too, right? So you might be someone who tries to maybe internalize things at times, and people kind of notice that about you, and they might talk about that being like, I wonder if they ever like need my advice or like need my assistance here. So people want you to open up more when it comes to like yourself. That's one thing that people say and notice about you is like, hey, you should open up more when it comes to you. So yeah, let's go ahead and see our next few cards. We also have the Strength card. So people also see you as somebody who's very strong, just to say the least. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory when we have the Strength card coming out. But so the Warrior and the Strength card, people see you as somebody who's like incredibly good at pushing through, especially on like emotional things. I feel like this is very much talking about emotional and internal strength. I feel like you're like a beacon of light for a lot of people because you have so much internal strength. So you're able to really help people through dark times because you're able to really listen to intense stuff. You're able to go through intense stuff and stay strong throughout it, which makes people really like, they admire you a lot for that. So that's another thing people notice about you, is that you're very strong, but almost like too strong at times, especially when, again, it comes to like your own issues, your own problems. They might see you as somebody who's like too strong. And they might be like, you know what, you can let down your guard like a little bit. Like, you can be comfortable here. You help us out so much. Like, we're allowed to help you too. But you might be somebody who's like, no, I'm going to just do it all on my own. I'm just going to do it all on my own, because you're so used to like helping others. You're so used to like being that energy for others that you might not know how to kind of accept it from other people. So that is one thing that they notice about you as well. But they also really admire your strength. I think it's very like, it's a quality other people really want. And it's one of their favorite qualities about you, and they might strive for that. So you might also inspire people to be more like that in their life as well. We also have the Three of Cups being reversed. So some people might say that you don't take life seriously enough. So some people, one of the kind of negative things I'm seeing here is some people might see you as somebody who doesn't see the seriousness in life sometimes, or kind of takes life, kind of just like has fun with it without kind of like seeing the consequences of certain things or stuff like that. So that could be one of the negative things that people do mention about you. Like I said, not holding back in these videos, saying it how it is, how it appears. So the Three of Cups being reversed would kind of mention that we maybe are focused too much on having a good time, or maybe we bring out humor too much, even when it's kind of like, now's not the time for humor. Other people, I think, really love it about you, but there could be some people that are like, that wasn't like a time for humor. Or there may be some people in your life like, I don't think they know how to like lay down the seriousness in life and stuff like that. So that could be one thing that people do mention about your like innocence that you have about you, because they might kind of see it as naive at times. Although I feel like for you, you're such a warrior, you're so powerful. Most people I see you in such a good light and see how strong you are through certain things, but people on the surface who maybe don't know you maybe think some of those things. So let's see if we can get any more information on this group 3. What else do people say about my beautiful group 3s? We have Virgo. So Virgo is all about healing and helping people. You're very much there to be of service to other people, to help people, heal people. So that is one of the main things. Sorry, I just had a bunch of cards fly out. That is one of the main things people say about you. Let's see what else we get here. All right, there we go. That was too much cards the first time. We also have Leo and the 7th house. Okay, so you're very much about your friends, your close partnerships. You have such a big heart. Leo is such a big heart, and it's also like a sign of being very loyal and confident. So there's like this confidence about you, and Leo's also connected to children, by the way. We had the eternal child here. So you do have this like childlike energy where it's very fun, it's very creative. You have a very creative spotlight almost energy about you, where you kind of almost steal the spotlight without even trying. Like, you might be somebody who's like, no, I don't even care about the spotlight. Like, that's not even something I think about. But it's something that you naturally, without even noticing probably, you sort of kind of take the spotlight. You are a leader. People look up to you and they're like, okay, where's your, like, let's find out your fun ideas, because you, I think about ideas outside the box. You're a very fun person to be around, but it's also very healing as well. I think you're really good at healing people, making them laugh, making them heal through laughter, through fun, through finding their internal child again, and through making really deep connections. I think relationships for you mean a lot, and people really notice that. They notice how loyal you are to the people that you really care about in your life, and that's something that people very much admire and appreciate about you. So let's see what else we get here. Group 3. Okay, so we also have the Fortuna card. So some people see you as somebody who's like very lucky, somebody who doesn't need to like work a lot, somebody who just like luck just falls on your lap. So some people also say that about you, is like luck just falls on this person's lap, goodness just falls their way. That's why they're able to be a fun eternal child, is because they haven't had to experience the hardships in life. Some people might say that about you, is that you haven't experienced the hardships. But those, I think, are the people that don't know you very well. They don't know your full story. So they might just be like, oh, they're just lucky. They don't even know like the real things. We also have the Two Paths card. So they might just think that you got lucky, like you got like the lucky path in your life. Is what I'm seeing. We also have double Jupiter showing up here, but we have the sun and the moon with double Jupiter. So they see you as somebody who's very lucky. Luck just, again, falls onto your lap. Anytime that there's like a fork in the road, you always end up kind of choosing the right one. So that's something that people notice about you, is like, wow, things just like go their way. But they don't know the other side of your story. But I think it's also because you don't open up very much. You don't open up about some of those like darker things that you've experienced. You don't open up about your kind of darker times. You're always just kind of, I feel like there's the happy-go-lucky energy about you that people perceive from you. And because of that, they don't know the entirety of what your life is. So they might just see you as like lucky. Let's see, any last cards for group 3? We have wedding and achievement. So some of you, there may be a really important person in your life. People also see you as somebody who's very committed. So wedding can also just symbolize that you're a very committed person to the people that you really enjoy, to the people that you really love. You're very much there and committed to them. Achievement can talk about that people see you as somebody who, I keep hearing with these cards that people see you as somebody who like got lucky or like gets lucky easily, because they don't see you working for things. Like I don't think people see the amount of effort that you put into stuff. They just see achievement. But people are also, the people that know you are really like, they're so proud of you and how far you've come and the things that you've got in your life. The people that know you, they're like, wow, how freaking amazing is it that they got this, that they did this. They could have taken, 2 different paths in their life. They could have been on a totally different perspective, but you're somebody who's like in a very different perspective than most people. You're kind of more happy-go-lucky and things like that. So people notice that about you. And even if you're thinking you're having a bad day, I think that you repress it to the point where people don't know that you're having a bad day. So it's not saying that you're happy-go-lucky all the time. You might be listening to this being like, but I'm not happy-go-lucky all the time. Like, I have harsher moments in my life. And what I'm seeing in here is that you don't loom on your problems. Like, you don't go to people being like, let's just talk about all of my problems and let's loom on it and let me just like dump it on you. You are not that type of person. What I'm getting from this reading is like, you're really good at holding back a lot of your problems and not making them a big deal, even if internally it feels like a big deal, which is why a lot of the times people view you as somebody who got lucky. People might view you as somebody who is naive, that hasn't had a lot of experiences, because you don't loom on like, look at my hardships, look at all the things I've had to do, look at all this craziness. People that really know you will know those things, but they might not even know it to the depth that you've experienced it, because I think that you do hold back on those things, group 3. So that is what I'm seeing here. We're also going to take our astro dice and we're going to roll them to get any more information on this. So we have the North Node in Scorpio in the 12th house. Wow, you are kind of secretive. Group 3. You're kind of secretive when it comes to like your internal emotions and your feelings. And I do think people pick up on that, but they don't really, again, see maybe the extent of how much you do that, because you, again, don't open up about it, so they just don't know. There's a mysterious quality about you that they really like, but from the outside, it can look like you got lucky. It can very much look like that. So people might misassume things at times when it comes to you because you're not somebody who flops it and drops it on their lap. You're not one of those people. So yeah, that's just kind of confirming that. So yeah, there also might be people that like to talk about you. Scorpio in the 12th house with North Node, some people might hope that you get humbled, because some people might be like, oh, they didn't have to experience the harsh lessons in life. So some people might be like, well, hopefully one day they'll learn that life is not so easy all the time. But secretly, you already know that. You're very aware of that, group 3. But people just are not aware that you are aware of that. So that is what we have here, group 3. Hopefully that made sense. So that is your reading. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. You are such a fun person to be around. The people that are your friends are so lucky to know you, because you're such like a dreamer, fun person who's like a very powerful, strong person as well, which is why I think you internalize a lot of your emotions, but it's safe to express them, just so you know. But that's just part of like, you know, this version of you. This is kind of like, you know, your energy, right? But just so you know, it is safe to express yourself more, especially if you find it hard to. That's just something I felt like saying at the end here. I don't know. But anyway, if you enjoyed this reading, my beautiful, amazing energy, fun, exciting people, group 3, love you guys, sending you so much love, and hopefully I see you in my next video. Bye. All right, my beautiful group 4s. If you chose this group, then this is gonna be a reading, so let's get into it. Okay, so group 3, we had a lot of cards come up for you. We have the Mystic, we have the Empty Room, the Flame, the Underworld, and Gnosis. All of these cards have such a similar energy. Oh my goodness. It's blowing my mind. So the Mystic is obviously someone who is interested in more of the occult, or more of the spiritual stuff, more of the mystical stuff in life, more of like the magic and the unknown. So experiencing the unknown, which is also kind of the empty room, exploring things that other people don't even think about, stuff that doesn't even come to their heads. So one thing that people say about you is that you are very unique, you think outside the box, and that you're more of a mystic. So whenever people want to know more about the mysteries of the world, or more about the mysterious kind of things, you are the go-to person. I think people talk about that about you. Like, you might be somebody who's interested in like tarot, astrology, or things like that, and your friends may know this about you, and whenever they meet other people, they might be like, oh, do you want a reading? Do you want to know more about like your birth chart, or do you want a tarot reading? Because like so-and-so does them. They know how to do it. Like, go to them, they know it. Excuse me. And if you don't know like tarot or astrology or anything, you at least know really cool, interesting facts or mysteries about the world, because you are somebody who likes to explore the more mystic realms of the planet. And because of that, sorry, I just ate. This always happens to me during these readings. People talk highly about you because you have these really cool like mystical qualities, and you probably have really cool mystical knowledge that other people really like to learn about. It's a very like curious topic. Gnosis also talks about somebody who's interested in the spiritual, occult, mysterious, mystical things in life. So both of these cards, sorry that I keep doing that, both of these cards are kind of about that same energy of being interested in the occult and things like that. The Empty Room shows me that you are somebody who's very empathic. You might not like being around tons of people at once. You might be somebody who's like, I kind of like my space. I like to be alone sometimes in order to recharge, so I'm gathering. Big introvert kind of energy here from you. Like, you might really need your alone time and your space in order to recharge and reignite your flame, for example. And people notice that about you. For example, if they invite you out on the town and you actually end up going, which mostly I feel like you wouldn't. So people notice that about you, and what they say about you is like, she's probably not gonna be, or he's not gonna be one of those people that wants to come out to this. But if you are one of those people that ends up going randomly, which I don't think you normally would, but if you do, it's kind of like your friends know not to expect to hear from you for a while after that, or not to see you, because it's like, I'm gonna need my space to recharge after that. That was a lot. So that is kind of your energy. You're somebody who's interested in exploring things that most people would not. People also might get a little scared of you at times, especially with your mystical interests. Some people might be like, oh, that's a little like weird, you know how some people are scared of like tarot or astrology or things like that? The underworld can talk about people having a slight fear of that, or a slight like apprehension or resistance around those things. So some people may be talking about you in a way of like, oh wow, I can't believe they're interested in that. That's not good. Even though it's fine, like tarot and astrology, it's not associated with anything bad. It's actually like a very beautiful art form, and it's actually very connected to spirit, to the higher realms, to God and the universe and things like that. It's all very connected, but some people are kind of more resistant to that. So one of the things that I'm gathering that people might say about you is like, ooh, like that person's really mysterious, or they're interested in things that I would just never even go towards, But then other people also find it very interesting. So it really just depends who we're talking about here. But there is definitely some people that talk about you in the sense of like, that person's interested in some interesting things. And then other people are like, wow, that person's really interested in some interesting things. This is so cool. So there's those two different dynamics of what people end up saying about you, group number 4. So yeah, people really also are interested in hearing what you have to say. And some people also see you as someone who ends up being kind of quiet until the flame is sparked. You might almost seem like this like empty shell until somebody kind of sparks a flame within you. So for example, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, it might be very surface level kind of conversation, but you're somebody who is very deep. You don't like surface level conversation. But since you're also kind of, I'm gathering, more of an introvert from this pile, you might wait for that flame to kind of be sparked first before kind of going deep. You might kind of wait for that sort of spark to happen before going deep. But you're a very deep person. You enjoy going deep. The underworld is the deep stuff. Like, let's go into uncovering the mysteries of the planet. Like, let's unearth things. Let's kind of, explore that. Otherwise, you're bored. You're somebody who I think does not like boredom. You're very good at occupying your own time and being curious, but other things, like regular things to you, seem boring. They seem empty. They seem like what's the point of that? Because you like deep stuff. So you like to find meaning behind stuff. Therefore, going out on a night on the town for you, unless there's meaning behind it, unless it's like for a romantic date, or unless it's for like, an actual like friend's birthday party or something like that, just going out for no reason to you doesn't seem like a deep enough purpose. You want purpose behind stuff. You're somebody who likes having sort of more of a deeper meaning behind what you do, and other people really notice that about you. So they notice like, this person's not really interested in things that are just for fun, just for this, just for that. I also think you do have your interests in the things that you find fun, but I think it's not kind of like the regular stuff. The regular things I think kind of make you feel a little bit more empty, and your flame kind of gets sparked through the more interesting mysteries. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll our astro dice to see some more info here. So we have Venus, that almost rolled off the table, in Gemini in the 11th. So Venus in Gemini. Venus is the planet of love and beauty. In Gemini, it's love, and we love conversation. We love talking. We love learning. We love studying. I also think you guys really do enjoy talking to people, but you really enjoy talking to people that are on the same level as you, that really enjoy deeper stuff. I think you also have a very interesting perspective on the world. Like, you're interested in picking apart things and seeing the more like beauty and art behind what you're observing. You're like, ooh, look at that. Like, what was the reason behind why they did that? And you like bringing the emotion out of something, you like going deep into it and all of that. So you like more interesting mental stimulation rather than sort of empty kind of conversations. So yeah, the 11th house is also about kind of the bigger picture things, humanity, also friendships. So you enjoy friendships that are intellectual. You enjoy friendships that create their bond based on the mind and doing interesting things and trying new things, jumping into like new topics, not always just repeating the same tasks over and over again. I feel like that's so boring for you. I feel like if you're always doing the exact same thing, you're kind of like, oh, really, when is that? When are we going to change it up a little bit? Like, when are we going to have some fun here? When are we going to talk about some deep stuff? So even if you end up doing all the same stuff all the time, as long as you are getting mental stimulation about like, ooh, let's talk about this new subject, or let's talk about this, that to you is like, yes, like let's go into it. Let's learn, let's discover more. So that is you. I also think you're such a deep thinker to where you've thought about like a lot of deep stuff to where when you talk about them, people might be like, whoa, like, where did you think of that? Like, where'd you even hear that? Like, what? Like, you kind of blow people's minds a lot, group 4. Definitely hearing that you blow your friends' minds. So, with that being said, let's get into some of our tarot cards here. So one of the first ones that we have is the 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands can talk about competitiveness and even jealousy. Also, what I'm getting from this, especially if you guys are interested in tarot or astrology, you might have a lot of people that like want you to like give them readings, for example. Like you might have a lot of people like being like, oh, read my cards, or oh, this is my birthday, can you read this, or can you read that, or like, can you do this? The 7 of Wands energy, I'm just gathering that a lot of people might be interested in what you know because you know a lot about it and you're interested in these things. You might know more than the average person, and because of that, people are really like trying to get your attention. I feel like a lot of people try to get your attention or try to get maybe something out of you, and you might have to kind of defend yourself and be like, no, I only have like so much time in my day, like I don't want to constantly do that. You might have to work on like standing up for yourself and defending yourself in that sort of way. Sorry, I'm like constantly clearing my throat here. Anyway, the next card that we have is the Hermit being reversed. So you're also someone that once people get to know you, you start opening up so much more. But when people first meet you, it can be hard to crack you open. It can be hard to kind of like dig beyond the surface. Because I think that you're somebody who opens up more slowly to people. So that is one thing that people notice about you, is it takes a while for you to maybe fully open up and to fully kind of come out of your shell. Next card that we have is the 3 of Swords being reversed. This reminds me of healing energy. So people might also sense that you have like a healing energy, and they might tell other people. They might be like, wow, that person is so healing. They're so good at like advice and knowing how to be comforting. Like people feel really comforted around you and they feel healed around you. I think you're really good at sensing what is bothering somebody, and you're also really good at sensing when something is bothering someone. And because of that, people really enjoy like being your friend because they feel understood by you and they feel like they can be themselves, and they also feel like you just understand them, you get them, and you're able to like read them, and that makes them feel kind of like really good and really understood by you. Another card is the Moon. So there's another card that represents the mystic quality that you have, group number 4. So more mystery. People really like getting to know your hidden sides, because you also might hide, you know, some of your information or maybe some of your talents or some of your interests that people only find out about as they get to know you more. And then they're like, whoa, this is like so much more than I imagined. So there is like very mysterious quality about you that people do really enjoy, group 4. There's something also about your voice that people like, because as we can see in this particular card depiction, her voice, we have all this like singing angelic sort of music notes that are sort of emanating from her voice. So there could be something about your voice that's also very alluring. Like people might talk about like, oh, she has such a like unique voice, or he has such a unique, cool voice. I really like it. Some of you may have accents, for example, or some of you just may have a very kind of like sexy or mysterious, interesting voice that people like to listen to. And then we also have the Chariot. The Chariot deals with overcoming obstacles, getting to goals and things like that. So you're also someone who I think moves forward in life in a very cool way. Like you're always going towards something. You're always learning new things. You're always moving in a certain direction. And people find that very interesting about you. The Chariot's also associated with the sign of Cancer. And the moon normally, not in the tarot, but the moon normally is associated with the sign of Cancer. So we have like a lot of Cancerian energy coming up. I'm also picking up on a lot of Scorpio, Pisces kind of energy in this group as well. So you might have a lot of 8th house placements, 4th house placements, 12th house placements, or you might have a lot of planets either in Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. For you guys, group number 4. I'm also getting a lot of psychic like abilities, psychic intuitions. So another thing people say about you is like, you know, like this person always knows the way I'm feeling. They always know when I'm like lying. They always know what I mean. And you understand people very deeply, and people really like that about you. And you're able to overcome a lot of like challenges in life. I feel like challenge doesn't scare you as much. I don't think you like confrontation. Confrontation is one thing that I think you do not like. Like you do not like confrontation. But when it comes to overcoming obstacles or challenges in life, I think you're like really good at that, because I think you're a natural problem solver because of the fact that you're so intuitive. You're a naturally really good problem solver, and you're curious. You also might be someone who's interested in traveling just because you're interested in uncovering more of the mysteries of the world. So there might be this explorative energy that you really enjoy as well, but you definitely dislike confrontation, and people notice that about you. And that is one thing people say about you is like, yeah, I can't really bring that up. She's like not too good with confrontation, or he's not too good with confrontation. So that might be something that also people do notice about you, is maybe like not dealing with confrontation very well. But at the same time, I feel like you're also like, you're really good at guiding things. So I think that there is like maybe like a reluctance around confrontation, but at the same time, you're also really good at dealing with it if it does arise. You're really good at handling it when it does arise, but you also don't like confrontation. You kind of almost would prefer to avoid it. But at the same time, you are actually really talented at dealing with it at the same time, if that makes sense. So with that being said, let's go ahead and shuffle these cards to see what else we get for you. So group 4, what do others say about group 4? We have the 10th house and yin, so the divine feminine energy, and also the 10th house. Do you guys have like big goals or something? Because the 10th house is associated with having big goals and dreams. So others really look up to you and might want to be in your position when we have the 10th house. Other people might talk about how much success that you've attained for yourself, and they might really want that, especially when it comes to like your wisdom and all that you know. They might be like, how did they even discover all those things? Like it must have taken so much time to develop those skills and to like know as much as they know. So people really admire that about you. They admire your life mission. They admire your self-discipline. They admire your structure in your life. They admire your accomplishments, like all of the things that we have on this card. Some of you may also have a career that other people really look up to, or they're just like in awe about what you've created in your life. This yin energy, this is all about deep intuition. It's very connected with the moon card. So people also notice how intuitive you are, how in alignment you are, and how you really nurture yourself. I also feel like you guys are really good at nurturing and taking care of yourselves, and people really admire that about you. Some of you may be really into like your like making yourself look beautiful, or making other things around you look really beautiful. That's very yin energy. So people do notice that about you, and they're like in awe of that, and they want to kind of attain that. You might be a really good role model for a lot of people. So a lot of people might be like, wow, I really like wish I could be like him or her. They're really inspiring. They're really fun to, you know, admire. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take these other cards here. This one's not wanting to pick up off the table. There we go. Okay. Let's see, group 4, what is any last information that we have for group 4, all about what other people say about them? Okay, we have adaptability, we have musician, some of you might be really into music, and then we also have concession. So concession deals with sort of like winning things or like planting seeds and kind of getting your goals. So other people might admire your ability to achieve certain things. Musician, people, something about your voice or about singing or about the way you portray things, or even just like, again, your musical interest or something to do with music and sound, people really like about you. I think you just have a way of moving and talking and walking that people are really attracted to. People also really admire your adaptability, the ability to kind of almost fit into any situation if need be. Although I feel like you guys also kind of prefer, you know, being in your comforts, but at the same time, I do think you're also very good at adapting, and people might notice that. They're like, you know what, this person can kind of like fit in anywhere and kind of like adapt to any situation. I think even during hard times, I think the adaptability is mostly during like hard times, not necessarily like fitting in with any sort of crowd, although I feel like you could do that, but that's also, I feel like, not your cup of tea. Group 4, I feel like that's not something that you're like, I'm gonna go out of my way to do that. But when it comes to like the challenges in your life, you're somebody who's very adaptable, very moving, and knows how to like harmonize themselves to like any situation. So even during the face of something really difficult or really hard, you're really good at getting through that. You're not somebody who's gonna break down and be like, oh my God, what do I do? This is awful. I can't get through this. I need help. Like if you're faced with something really hard, you are really good at keeping your composure. You are really good at adapting to it. So it's like if you hurt your foot really bad while you're like on a hike and you're in the middle of nowhere, you're not somebody who's gonna break down and be like, I can't go anywhere. We're gonna need to call in a helicopter and like do this and do that. I can't go on. You are not that type of person, group number 4. Oh my goodness, you'd never even be around somebody like that with a 10-foot pole. You are somebody who is really good in the face of adversity and challenge and hardship. You're really good at adapting to that. And I think you've had to learn how to adapt to hardship in your life, and you're very good at it. So if you get a broken foot in the middle of nowhere, you're somebody who's like, let's figure it out. I'm gonna adapt to it. Like, I don't even need help. I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm gonna grab this like tree branch. I'm gonna use it as a crutch. We're good. Let's keep going. Let's not even make a big deal about it. Like, you're one of those people. And that's really like admirable and respectable about you. And I think that's another thing that people say about you is like, wow, this person is so good at getting through challenge. This person is so good at finding what they want and being really determined to go for it and conquer it and do it, especially when it comes to, again, challenge in your life. So in the face of adversity, group 4, you can kind of get through anything. You're really, really good at that. You're really good at putting out the fires. Although you don't like confrontation or anything like that, you're also really good at coming out on top of adversity rather than succumbing to it. Like, you are not allowing yourself to succumb to anything. You are not allowing yourself to give up on the side of that mountain. That's not you. You're like, I'm gonna figure out a way. Even if I have to walk on a broken leg, I don't care. Like, let's do it. I don't need no help. You're very independent in that way and very resourceful and adaptable. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll these last astro dice one last time to get any more information on this reading for you. So let's see what Spirit has to say. We have Saturn. You guys are so like I don't know, like reliable and determined, and like able to overcome anything. So Saturn and Scorpio in the third house, you're also very dedicated to learning. You're very dedicated to expanding your mind. You're very dedicated to discovering as much as you can in the world, especially when it comes to uncovering mystical energy with that Scorpio energy here. So you're interested in the deep, the unknown, mystical stuff. And you're here to almost like bring it to more of a sciencey perspective, because Saturn is more like making it cold hard reality. So it's kind of like discovering mystical stuff and figuring out like, how can I explain this in like a very logical way? I feel like you're somebody who also kind of thinks in that way as well. Like you're here to make it more practical, and things like that. So yeah, that is what I am seeing here. Group number 4. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I'd love to have you there, and hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye.